Well, Adelaide absolutely demolished the Bombers, and Essendon fans this morning just scratching their heads saying, where from here? I mean, what is this club all about at the moment? And there's no one scratching harder than this man.
So defensively, they are poor, and they have been for a number of times. They have been under Brad Scott. So they're a bottom four club last year for defence. So here's one, and you ask yourself, there's 3v1. So it's 3 Crows v 1 Bomber. So there should be more Bombers behind the footy. But what's Pryor doing here, guarding nothing when Mitch Hinge is all by himself? So they're getting beaten at the coalface, and they've been beaten inside 50 as well. So this goes in. This is poor from Mackay. So you've got a bit of poor defensive work, but then poor system. So that's where they'd be scratching there. I'm saying, what's McGrath doing? He's on Rochelle. Why is he dropping off? So there's nothing going well in front, nothing going back behind the ball. Then this one, so the ball's in dispute. Nick Martin, is he grabbing a player? Why isn't Reid arm across when the ball's in the firing line for the team? So this one was staggering. So
are you going with the structure here, Lordo, or the individuals?
I'm going both, but more structure. So Mackay's in front and you've got Dylan Shield behind. But then when you look up, these two are going, well, why weren't you going? Why weren't you going? And Tex was in all sorts of trouble. Had one in front of him, one behind him, and then he runs in and just takes an easy mark. So it's an absolute mess. Both, as I said, Reid's going poorly, Mackay's going poorly, but it's system and personnel. So it's a tough fix, Damo, because it's problems absolutely everywhere.
I look at that game yesterday and I felt for Zach Merritt, who worked his backside off, mid-30 touches, kick for the development, Lordo. That's the thing that most Essendon supporters sitting at home watching the game yesterday, going to the ground, go, where is our development? Where is our development the way that Geelong have developed their players, the way Hawthorn have developed their players? So Perkins and Bryan and Jones and Hobbs, Sardis, they're the younger players that have played 20, 30, 40 games now. So you'd be scratching your head. The development of those guys, when your top end is as good as Merritt and Nick Martin's probably top end, where is the development of the football?
There's so many problems that you've just mentioned development. Is it actually recruitment, Lordo? Because that's been a narrative as well. I mean, then you have the off-season narrative of we want to be stable. And then you've got Brad Scott, post-match, continuing to push this line out that the club knows exactly where it's at.
They challenged our defence, and our defence across the ground, forward, mid and back, wasn't up to it. It's been a long time since we've sort of conceded uncontested marks and lost pressure differential by as much as we did today. So I don't think it's a wake-up call. I think we know exactly how hard this competition is. And when we lose critical contests, we've got to improve on that. No, we don't need a wake-up call at all.
Well, they'll get another form of wake-up against Port Adelaide on Thursday night, Brownie. And just to back over, Lordo, because you do analyse all lists very, very thoroughly, just the recruitment versus the development angle that Brownie just raised, where is it the bigger problem in your eyes?
Again, people will whack Adrian Dodoro, and all recruiters miss some, but can you recruit that many bad top 10 picks? So I think...
Give us some names.
So I'll look at it, so as Brownie just touched on.
Well, you read Perkins and Cox in the one draft,
so
roughly around 6, 7 and 8 in that draft.
So they've missed out 3 top 10s at the moment, so Reid, Cox and Perkins. Hobbs. Harrison Jones hasn't come on. Elijah Sardis is a worry, who was pick 5.
Sardis.
Sardis. So Hobbs. And then obviously Nick Bryan's coming in for the handball, who's taken 5 years also, who is starting to get some games. So Jones, Reid, Cox, Perkins Sardis,
has
Hobbs,
the ability
Bryan.
To become a great player, though.
Great's a big word, Brad.
Yeah,
but with the development in it and being in a good side, I feel like Perkins, yes, he hasn't delivered yet, but I thought he's a better player in his first year. He seems to have gone backwards.
But then Geelong, for example, they'll have guys who are rookie-listed players, Dempsey, who's 40s and 50s, that they just make it happen. And I think Nigel Lappin is the best development coach I've seen. I've watched him in action. So I think it's, again, defence is a problem with personnel and structure, and it's recruitment, development. It's a whole club thing.
But why, like, one name you haven't mentioned there is Ben Mackay. Why is he the whipping boy?
Because he can be non-competitive. And then when you're non-competitive, that's where Reid is going to become another one. Like, Reid, in my opinion, should be doing another 2 years. There's no time for that. He shouldn't be playing AFL football with what he's serving up, being ragdolled the way he is, but they have to play him. So I think
Reid, you're talking
Reid,
about.
yeah, and Mackay.
He's also the highest paid player at Essendon.
Yeah.
Who?
Mackay.
Yeah, I know, but
that comes.
I know,
with...
but if you're presented with a contract of $1 million, you're not going to go, nah, I'm not going to take that.
But it comes with more pressure.
Yeah, I understand that.
And you've got to live up to that.
But it's not like he was the one writing the cheque.
But he's taking the cheque.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's got to be better. Yeah. He's got to be better. Yeah.
And no one would know that more than Ben Mackay, surely. Rory?
Gee, I would have loved to have joined in that discussion from the bench over there, but I've got one more piece of footage I want to show you because we've spoken about defence, but transition for me is just as big. And we're going to watch Essendon's mids here, and unfortunately it's Zachy Merritt, who had a ripping game on the weekend offensively. But defensively, right now, he needs to make a choice whether he can impact, like McGrath needs to impact there, or does he go and Jake Saligo's coming to the screen. He was right behind him. Now Jake Saligo's going to get a free run into an open goal off the back of a Riley-Thilthorpe contest. So as mids, you're always weighing up, can I impact this contest or do I need to swivel my head and pick up the loose who's going to spit out at times, as good midfielders do. There's some that spit out and get on the end of it like Jake Saligo.
What are you expecting now for the Crows? I know it's been the Bombers and the Saints. They got North this week. Are you thinking it should be better than top 8?
No, I think Crows have just done exactly what they needed to do. They set themselves up with a round 1 win against St Kilda, who were slightly undermanned at the time. Essendon was a bit undermanned yesterday too, but they're just doing what they need to do, and so much was made on their MCG record. I loved it yesterday. They just came in, went whack, threw the first punch and just set the game up from that first half, and it was done by half-time. So.
And as Lordo said, Nick Bryan from Essendon will join us for the handball a little later on.
Yeah, Adelaide were very good, 61-point winners. I spoke about Zach Merritt off the top of the program, 36 touches and 4 goals. Benny Keys, what about his performance? Terrific. Josh Rochelle had some great celebrations again. Riley-Thilthorpe, he continues to grow and he's a big human being. Jordan Dawson, 33. Crouch and Saligo, who you've already touched on, Rory. But it was the way they moved the ball. It was slick ball movement yesterday, Adelaide up against the Bombers. And this man, Jordan Dawson, is at the very forefront. Probably not that kick, but 775 metres gained. He had 29 at three-quarter time. Took the foot off the pedal, only had the 4 in the last quarter. But could quite easily have 6 votes in the Brownlow medal already. I mean, from a halfback flanker to doing what he does now through the midfield, it is one of the great moves that Adelaide, they've got a great leader there. He stands up under the ball when he needs to. He wins it hard. He can win it on the outside and he kicks goals as well. So he was head and shoulders above everybody for 3 quarters yesterday.
The big scores they've mounted, Brownie, now in 2 rounds, is it sustainable against the very best? Because we're going to have that doubt, aren't we? Is it fair to say, until they get a good team?
The big advantage is they've played sides they probably should beat. Yep. So we thought they'd beat St Kilda. Most people at home, that's a good win away against Essendon. And now they've got a very winnable game again next week. So should be 3-0. But the big test comes against the very good sides. They beat Brisbane in the pre-season. So wait to be seen. But the way they moved the ball was sort of Hawthorn-like with the efficiency, how quickly they did it and the pinpoint accuracy. So it was very impressive.
Obviously, knowing that club really well, Nixie would want to tighten up that defence. He would have been disappointed that they reached 100 points. Yep, and the week before, about 75 for St Kilda. They'd love to keep them under 65 and be absolutely ruthless. And, yeah, Essendon kicked far too many late for them to still be in that discussion, I think.
Is there a player you've seen in the first fortnight you go, he improved from when I left last year?
Jake Saligo is absolutely one of them. Riley-Thilthorpe, again, just having the continuity. But I'll let you touch on Jake Saligo if you want to, because his game was outstanding, Lordo.
So what areas do you reckon is his big growth? So has he always had a good tank? Like he's tough?
He's super professional, so he does absolutely everything right. He's got a huge tank, but it's his stoppage work and how clean he is. I think that sets him apart from other young kids. He does a lot of work on his touch, like the best do. But his work rate now, both to get back and to push forward, I think comes from spending a bit of time on the wing as well. So he's developed this whole all-rounded package of a game.
And Rory, as we look at Jake Saligo, sorry, Brownie, I just want to ask about Matt Crouch, given he was on the outer to the point where his career was at an end only a few years ago. Now he's back in the coalface and dominating, or at least affecting results of football.
Yeah, he was never so much on the outer. I think that just midfield.
He couldn't get a game.
Well, yeah, the midfield. Well, yeah, good point. But the midfield mix was different. We had Lairdy in there playing that inside mid role, and he was doing that to such a high level that it just kept Crouchy out. So they've got the mix right now. You've got Crouchy, who's pivotal for this midfield mix to be successful. He's a ball inside. He can feed it out to Dawson, Rankins, Saligo, Peatling, these guys that are a bit quicker underfoot. But he is absolutely huge.
Dawson, Saligo, Ben Keys, and I thought Zach Merritt was really good. And the other player they've added to the mix who's been impressive for their structure has been Alex Neal-Bullen. 18 touches, 2 goals yesterday. His hardness around the footy is something nice.